So good morning, students. I welcome you all again this Design Culture Learning Series. This week, we have our master mentor, Mrs. Palakshi Pal. She is a design thinker, a marketer, has worked in the University of Sydney, Australia, graduated from Chelsea College of Arts, UAL, London. She is an avid traveler, passionate tennis player, and a keen observant. She teaches design thinking and plans to solve as many challenges to make this planet more sustainable by reducing our carbon footprint. So, ma'am has a lot of experience in like various domains. So, I welcome ma'am. The stage is all yours. Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. Yes, my name is Palakshi. I've had the privilege to work abroad, study abroad. I've done various courses which have helped me come to the fact where I can be here today in the same room as all of you, teaching you design thinking and a bit more about like how to be in a design. There are 5 steps of design thinking. What does that each 5 step include? Why is it important for us to be in a team? And how can we build a successful team? I'm just putting 2 words together. It's called design and thinking. Just think about it. Like, what would these 2 words together mean? What do you think these words could mean? How design thinking is making a mark in the country right now, not just in India but abroad as well. Design thinking is something that was started abroad anyway. A lot of Indian companies are now following it. A lot of schools are now teaching it. Um, my last big piece of work was with the Shiv Nadar schools in Delhi. From grade 12, all the kids were learning what design thinking is. So, at its core, it's very like human centered. It's something that every human should be doing when you're trying to produce a better product or a service or a process for your client. Why am I making a new product, a new service? To ask the question, who is the human behind it that's going to use this? In this current picture that you see in front of me, there's one thing which says design and the other thing which says the user experience. Now, why is this man taking this shortcut or user experience versus this design parameter? Why is that happening? Because as a human being, this is the user experience that he wants. This is the experience that he really wants. But in terms of so yes, as I was saying, there are a lot of times design and user thinking is saying that you need to make design and user experience the same thing. When it's going to be the same thing is when users are going to have a better experience of what they're getting. Imagine you go to a store which sells only, say, like black t-shirts. There's nothing else that that store is selling you. But you're a colorful person, you don't like black as a color. Would that black t-shirt attract you? Maybe not. Because as your user experience, you want like colorful, bright colors as t-shirts, but that store is only selling black t-shirts. So clearly that is a different design that they're looking at, but your user experience doesn't match that. In a simplified manner, that's 5 stages of what design thinking is. And please note that this is quite important for the task that you will be getting. First is empathize. Number 2 is define. Number 3 is ideate. Number 4 is prototype. And the last one is testing. So when I say empathize, it's the same meaning as in English. You empathize with someone. You be in their shoes. You try to understand that, oh, what is going on in their life? Like, what is really going on here? Number 2 is you define. You try to ask a question. You try to figure out, like, what is really going on? Like, what's the real question here? Number 3 is ideating. So you're trying to like brainstorm, you're trying to create, you're trying to like find new solutions. The next one is more ideas, viable ideas that you think can exist for your testing phase. In your testing, you go back to your first audience that you try to ask questions for, and then you gain the user feedback. You try to ask them that, does this really work for you or does this not? Does anyone have any questions at all so far? Anything that they would like to discuss, share, or anything, any questions at all? So when I say step 1, it also means empathy, right? So being aware of how the other person is feeling by genuinely asking them the real questions. Why do you do this? What do you do this for? Like, do you have a family? Do you not have a family? Um, what does your day look like? Are you happy with the first few hours of your day? Do you think you need more coffee? Do you have a dog? Do you have like good enough hours for your sleep? Questions that are genuine about that person. So imagine you are living in their shoes. So you wake up like them, you sleep like them, you talk like them, you eat like them, everything. When you're trying to be empathetic towards someone, you'll also start finding a lot of similarities between themselves and you. So there will be a lot of things that you will feel like, oh, it's so similar. Even I think like that. Share with the person that you're empathizing about yourself. Don't just keep on asking questions to them. Blah, blah, blah. What is this for? What is this for? Why, what, when, where, how? Try to ask from them and try to share and validate their feelings. Say, for example, you're in a focus group and you're trying to ask people a few questions. If somebody's saying, I feel really sad if I don't get my morning coffee. Just be attentive first and try to understand and say that, oh, yeah, I'm the same. I'm pretty much the same. I have the same morning routine. Just try to validate, discover, share, and be in their own shoes. So that gives them a lot of validation. By empathy, I also mean that it has to be something which has to come from the heart. If companies and if teams do this as a fake procedure, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work because you're just showing fake empathy to someone. It's not how it works. When you're doing empathy, it really needs to work by this tool, which is called as the empathy map. An empathy map is a collaborative visualization to understand what is my user thinking, saying, doing, and feeling. For me to understand what that user needs and for me to understand what is the right decision for this user, I need to do an empathy map. Now, an empathy map is as similar as just me and you talking to each other right now. Say, for example, I am your potential customer and I'm on Zoom here. You start asking me questions about, um, let's say, how to buy a TV. I want to buy a TV. What are the certain things that I'm saying? I'm saying that, oh, like, I don't know, is the price okay for me? Is the size okay for me? What kind of brand is better? Do you think Samsung does it better or Panasonic does it better? So, in my questions to you, I'm saying all of these things to you. In my head, I'm thinking, like, is she gonna think I'm stupid? Is he gonna think I'm stupid? I'm asking such silly questions. Am I wasting too much time thinking about it? I don't even know which TV is best for me. Maybe I should leave that as an option. So in my head, maybe I'm thinking of 50 other things, but you need to take those 50 other things out of me when you're asking me questions. What am I doing if I'm trying to buy a TV? I'm going to do online research. I'm going to call my friends. I'm going to call my family, ask them that, you know what, I'm trying to buy a TV. Can you help me out? In my head, maybe I'm excited that a new TV is coming, or maybe I'm a bit overwhelmed. Maybe I'm a bit underwhelmed because it's just a TV. Maybe I'm anxious. Maybe I'm not sure where to buy that TV from. So, this is what an empathy map really does. If you see the one image before, says, thinks, does, and feels. I'm the user in the between. Here, the same thing is happening for Jamie. What she says, what she thinks, what she feels, and what she actually does. So the says quadrant contains what the user says out loud in an interview or in any form of study that you're doing in a Zoom call or however you're doing it. The thinks quadrant captures the users in thinking through the experience. What is going on in their head? What matters to them when they're thinking about things? So that's what the thinking aspect of this does. The next one is the does quadrant encloses the actions that you're taking. For physically doing this, what are my actions? Am I going on the internet? Am I trying to find like what's going on in the market? What is new? Am I going and checking it with my friends? Am I checking it on Instagram, social media, blah, blah. That's what I'm actually doing. So doing is a verb, like I'm doing something to make this happen. And the feel is an emotional state. So it's representing like, how am I feeling about it? Am I excited to buy a new TV? Am I scared to buy a new TV? Like, what is going on in my head when I'm trying to buy a new TV? So an empathy map is really important because it's giving me a gist of what my user really is as a human being in a way when he's trying to do something. It just gives me that how is he going to act and react in certain situations when he or she is being put, because I can understand what they say, I can understand what they think, I can understand how they're going to do things, and I can understand how their emotional state is going to be when they're in that position. So that's step one, which is empathy. Now, when I have my step one clear, when I've tried to understand who my client or who my audience is going to be, I'm going to define it. And I'm going to define it in a manner where I know, bless me, sorry, when I know that these are my insights about my target audience. Now I need to dig and find a problem statement. Now, what does a problem statement mean? What does anyone have a guess that what do they think a problem statement could mean? For step two, which is defining, there are some tools at this stage also that will help you understand what this process really looks like. There's something called as a persona chart, a persona profile, a customer journey. There are a lot of names to it, but what is something which is easier? Persona profile. A persona is the type of a user that you're building, and your designers and developers are trying to empathize by understanding their needs. By basing personas on customer research, teams can avoid designing for fake users. Again, say I am one person you interviewed. I am 28 years old. I live in New Delhi. I have a crazy lifestyle. I do 50 things all at once. Maybe that's the persona type that you want to work with. Now, for my persona chart, you'll write my name as a fictitious name, like mm, Jamie. Profession, really hectic. Be specific that what do I do? Maybe I teach. I'm into teaching. My age, 28. My persona, my personal goals, my values, my interests, my behaviors, my aspirations is all that you need to write in this profile, in this persona profile. Please understand, when you're going to interview people or when you're going to interview one person, this can be done simultaneously, but better to do it after you have done the empathy map, because then you have a clearer idea on who your exact user is, and then you are able to fill up the persona profile. Here's a template of it. You can take a screenshot of this one or not, because in your activity in the end, you will have to work on this one. So a persona profile, again, one picture. It can be a description, it can be a photo, it can be like, doesn't have to be the exact photo of the person, but it can be a cartoon image like what makes them special, where are they living, what are their demographic information, do they have a dog, do they not have a dog, are they married, are they single, are they a student, are they having another occupation, what is your persona, what are their goals in life, are there any challenges stopping them from meeting these goals, what kind of habits are they shopping too much, are they reading too much, are they spending a lot of time on social media, what are their real habits. This is what a person, so clearly you're tapping down as to what their entire day or a month or a week looks like, but in a form of a sheet like this. So this is a persona template. When I give you the task in the end, you'll have to fill in a persona template as well. So make sure that you have this on you. Now, my step three is ideating. I now know that my empathy map is done, my persona chart is done, my problem statement is ready. I now need to start ideating and figuring out how can I give them a solution. I brainstorm as a team. I try to come up with a lot of ideas. I delegate tasks for a better efficiency. There is something called as post-it notes. Look it up if you don't know them. When we are doing ideating, we try to get as many post-it notes and keep sticking them on the wall. Keep sticking them. Also, time is of the essence. It doesn't mean that I have 50 days to just do ideate, 50 days of ideation. No, you set a timeline as for everything. In design thinking, everything is time specific. There is timeline set for everything that you're doing. Now, how can you make this process easier? There are certain tools that can help you with. Say storyboarding. In ideating, maybe you write a story about that person that, they try to do this in the day, then this happens, then this happens, like how you read a comic book. It's like a story. So you make a storyboard, like a comic, of the person that you're working with, trying to understand that, what, maybe at this stage he's facing a problem, so I need to fix this stage first. Maybe here he might just face a problem, so I need to fix this stage first. So you can use this board after you've empathized with the person to have a better understanding of their life. It's about drawing out the story from their life. Storyboarding is one way of ideating. One other way is also sketching. So a lot of times when clients are working on websites and apps, sketching is the best thing to do, because then you can sketch your entire UI and UX, basically how your frame is going to look. That's something called as UI UX of how it's going to look on an app. On your phone, every app has a different frame, every app has a different way of looking from each other. That's UI UX. So I'm sketching that out in rough sketches. Doesn't have to be proper, just maybe some words, maybe some graphics, maybe some drawings. And that's just widening my lens, because I can know that if I'm putting the login page, then what should my next page be, and then what my next page should look like, and then so on and so forth. So sketching is one such tool that can help you do that. Now there's also something called as the worst possible idea. I think this is by far the favorite one. Build self-confidence, because now everything which was worst is already on the sheet. Like how you see, these are post-it notes, and this is maybe a whiteboard, and they've put all the worst possible ideas on this already. When you've put it on the sheet, you can also find different methods that can help you ideate. For a lot of people, they just want to put calming music down and finish once that's done, then they sit all of them sit together, and then they try to work on a possible ideation. So anything is possible. These are just the three of them that I'm showing you, which are relatively common and famous. Okay, so the next step, which is also one of the most important and the most fun ones, is called as prototype. Here, you're creating a simple prototype from the storyboard that you've created just now. In ideation, you've created a lot of things where you're like, you know what, this could probably look like as the viable solution. In step 4, prototyping, you actually make that solution. So it could be something that's done in paper, that's something done in cardboard, could be done with the materials that are around you. You need to start prototyping early so you can not have failures in the future, because when you have a lot of failures, it'll lead to better iteration, but it's easier that you start failing early in the process rather than 2 months into it when you have to show it to your client. Doesn't really make sense. So make a minimum viable prototype, but that means spending the least amount of money but getting the most amount of impact. So something that's done from paper, cardboard, anything, but this is something that's physical. Please remember, this is tangible. I should be able to touch, pick, play, do everything with this. So that's what prototyping means. It can be something that you've done in ideation, but now you want to look forward and do something in 3D. So it's a live structure. It's something that's real, not in the same scale as what your prototype, as your final outcome, but in a smaller scale. That's what prototyping really means. It's easy for you, and then maybe there are just one prototype that you've made. Maybe it will fail and your user may not like it. Make a lot of permutations, combinations, iterations of your prototype. Also, please bear in mind, prototyping means spending the least amount of money, but the max amount of time on it. So cost should not be a big reason or a big issue here. Paper, cardboard, things that are around you, easily available, please use them when you're trying to prototype. The next step is the step 5, which is testing. So this could be your final outcome, maybe or maybe not. And I write maybe not because you may have to go back into prototyping and ideating and come back to it. Please note, design thinking is not linear. That means it's not in one straight line. These 5 steps can be done in any step as per you. After ideating, if you think that you've got the it thing, you can straight away go to testing. After testing, you can go back to prototyping as well. Testing essentially means that I'm now going to speak to my audience. I'm going to try and understand that was my goal really met? Figuring out that this is something that they were facing as a problem. I think we've solved it. When you speak to your customer, maybe your customer says that, no, you've not solved it yet. There are still a lot of changes that I would like in it. So this is essentially a comparison from step 1 to the final step here. I'm comparing on empathy what I did with my users them. Does this make sense to all? Are we all on the same page? Again, I can repeat step 1 to step 5 if there's an issue. Please note this is not linear. After empathy, I can straight away ideate. After ideate, I can do testing. I can go back. I can come forward. I can do anything. It's not a linear process. Step 1, trying to empathize. Step 2, trying to define the problem statement that my user is facing. Step 3, ideating in a matter of time. Again, quantity over quality of ideas. The quantity of ideas needs to be more. The quality of ideas can be figured out later as well. Prototyping, prototyping early, prototyping fast to not have as many failures in the future, and then essentially testing it. Steps of design thinking, they also include a lot of time that goes underneath all of them. Let's just try to read from one example from the ice cream story. We're trying to understand what the users really want. So I'm trying to observe what kind of flavors does the user like. Is he liking a particular flavor of the ice cream? Does he like the packaging and that's why he's buying the ice cream? This is my first interaction with the user. So I'm just trying to understand as many questions possible from this user about ice cream. In my step 2, I want to establish a meaningful problem statement. Maybe he does not like to eat ice cream in the cold. Maybe he likes to eat ice cream when it's really hot in the heat. And that's what kind of makes him happy. So I'm concluding the insights that I had received from step 1 and trying to find a meaningful problem statement for myself. In step 3, I'm trying to find as many and produce as many possible solutions. So I'm brainstorming, I'm sketching, I'm mind mapping, I'm combining all the things and making a viable ideation of what that user really wants when his problem is being defined. In step 4, maybe there are possible solutions to it. Maybe I've changed the packaging of the ice cream. Maybe the flavor remains the same, but the packaging is completely different. I can eat it in a cone instead of a stick. That's something that my user wanted, and I'm giving them as an experience. In my step 5, I am now showing him that, you know what, this is the brand new ice cream. You can eat it at like even in the cold, even in the heat. Um, it just adapts to any temperature when you're eating it. Um, does the ice cream packaging work for you? XYZ. So when I come back and I show him my answers, he's like, you know what, the packaging is okay, but I also like the 2 other flavors. Can you combine 2 more flavors in this one? Then I go back in prototyping, I add maybe 2 more flavors to it, and then I come back to him. So on and so forth. So basically, this is what it means in a real life situation. This is just a very small example of eating ice cream, but this is what it really means to do the 5 steps all in the same line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is something that I always resonate with. In order to get to new solutions, you have to get to know different people, different scenarios, and different places. So maybe they are kind of in the same age group when I'm trying to define a problem with them, but they're all different people. Could be people going to the school, but like somebody who's going to high school in grade 6 versus somebody who's going to high school in grade 12. They're different people. They have different scenarios and they have different issues that is going to happen with them. So that's how I can empathize with all of them to have a better solution and to have a newer solution into what we're looking for. Why should we do design thinking? Why do you think design thinking is so important? Anyone, like before I show my screen, does anyone have any answers that they would like to think? Why do you think design thinking is so important? So yes, the idea again remains that design thinking is really important because it's also very human at the end of the day. I'm trying to solve problems which human beings want in an iterative manner. It's creative. I'm trying to build a lot of curiosity around it, that, I'm trying to do something for you. So let's try to understand how can we be in a team when we're trying to do design thinking. It's also very essential for us to be in a team first. When I go on Google and I type team, it just says a group of players forming one competitive game or sport. But this is not a game or sport. You are coming together to achieve a common goal, that is to solve somebody's problem. You're coming together to solve XYZ as a problem. You're coordinating with each other to solve something. So, a team essentially means you're coming together, trying to sit together, try to work together. There will be issues being in teams. Not going to lie, there are always issues in group work, in teams, but to come out of it stronger and with a better product, with a better service, is what really a team means. So it's not something that's related only for sports. You are trying to achieve a common goal here. Bear in mind the main word is common goal. So when I say teams, what is the benefit of being in teams? What do you think is beneficial? Why do you think it's important for us to be in teams to solve something? Why? Now, in design thinking, we say that we are a unique team. We develop three big components, which is we have the shared vocabulary, we have tangible artifacts, and we have a trust-based culture. By this, what I mean is, if I'm saying empathy, or if I'm saying empathy map, all of us understand it. If I'm saying sketching, all of us understand it. If I'm saying I'm brainstorming on an idea, we have the same vocabulary. We're using the same words to describe what we're doing. Number two, tangible. I'm touching things, I'm feeling things. It's something that I can touch and feel and see that what is really going on. And at the end of the day, it's a team. I'm building a team culture when I'm sitting with you. It's a trust based system. The information I have is also the information the other team is going to have, teammate is going to have. Just because I have some information doesn't mean that I will not pass it on. I will pass it on to someone else. So it's happening a lot like cross disciplinary. It's a lot of balancing each other's contribution that's been given on a team and then supporting them. Supporting even like a crazy idea that, you know what, this is a crazy idea, but let's just do it. So I'm not arguing about, I thought we were making a chair. I'm not the boss here in a team, but I'm figuring out with my team, how are we going to make that chair? So instead of arguing and saying that, you know what, I'm the boss, let's do this, I'm now saying we are a team, let's figure out a possible solution as to how to make a chair. That's what makes it unique. There is no leader, there is no master, there is no one person that I will always report to. I take ownership of my own work. I take ownership of the fact that, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I need to give my 100% to this. So that's what makes design thinking as like unique in teams. We are democratically coming up to decision making. There is wall of ideas, we're voting on it, we're pinning ideas down. We're not being told what to do. We are collectively coming, deciding on something, and then going forward with the idea. So there are three steps of teams to be working in design thinking. Number one is knowing what design thinking is, by which I think all of you know now. Number two is each design set thinking setting is unique. So the ice needs to be broken. Say, for example, you are four people in this team right now, and you've never met each other, or you don't know who you are, or so you give some introduction about yourself. You tell them what your strengths or your weaknesses are. That, you know what, my name is XYZ. I like to do this. I like to play this. I'm my favorite sport is this, my hobby is this, I like to do something, or you don't like to do something, so on and so forth. So you're just breaking the ice within your team, because not necessarily every team you will go in you would know the person. Maybe you know them great, maybe you don't know them. Number 3 is get creative. So choose a topic or a story which is completely unrelated, play a game around it, just something that's fun for the entire team to start thinking and start to getting creative. So again, 3 easy steps for you to facilitate what design thinking is. Number 1, your team should know what design thinking is. You shouldn't be like not having the shared vocabulary. Your vocabulary needs to be the same. You need to have that same shared goal. That's what makes you a team first. Number 2, just break the ice. Just figure out who you are, what kind of people you are. And number 3, just get creative. Start playing a game, just any creative game, maybe on the computer, maybe on physical space, maybe it's something that you played in your childhood and you want to recreate a game, anything. And then start thinking about the problem that you have at hand. Then start thinking about the 5 steps of design thinking. That's what will make you a good team. That will make you something that, you know what, I'm looking forward to working in this team. We're so fun with each other. We have so much that's like similar between all of us. And that's what's going to make us a good team. That's what essentially being in a team means. So together, everyone is going to achieve more. There is one video that I wanted to show you on this, but because of sound, I don't think I'm able to do it. So I'll just give you a key takeaway from this entire session is that once you start following DT, design thinking, you start to incorporate a lot more and you will see a lot of benefits when you're using this as a team. It'll be a greater inclusiveness. A lot of people will come in the team, go out of the team, but as a company, as something, you will be stronger. Better teams are collaborative and interactive. So the more collaboration you do, more iteration, more interaction you do, higher your confidence is going to be. So once you've started believing in design thinking, once you've started doing it, you'll have stronger teams, yes, but you'll also have stronger solutions in those teams. You'll have better products, you'll have better solutions, you'll have better services to give forward to your clients. So by creating that common vocabulary and building that trust, you can create a stronger design thinking team to solve a better solution in front of you. Are there any questions or anything on this that you would like me to go back and discuss? Anything at all? Anything that anyone would like to discuss, share, have their thoughts on, anything at all? Okay, so I'm going to share a task with you, which you have the next couple of hours to finish it. Um, so the task is as, oops, the task is as follows. So you will get into teams of 4 to 6, 6 being the maximum. So it can be any team that you like, but preferred not be with your friends if you know people in this group already. So prefer not to be with your own friends. Try to find a real life problem for your team as you're trying to get into college. Imagine when you were trying to get into the process of going to college, which college should I go for? What are the parameters that you want to look at? Maybe distance, time, money, anything. That's your first idea to figure out. That's step 1 of design thinking. That's the empathy map as well. Try to figure out a real life problem that you as a team were facing when you were trying to get into college. Easy. Now, the next part of this is you will design a persona map of a real person. You will try to figure out that, you know what, Aman is the name of the person that I want to look at, and Aman is facing this problem. He's my persona, and I will come back with one problem statement. Aman had faced this problem, blah blah blah. Aman's problem was how do we fix this XYZ. So that's your problem statement. The next part of the activity is to start ideating a probable solution for the problem that you're looking. Again, quantity over quality of ideas. So you will technically do 3 steps of design thinking, 1, 2, and 3. At the end of the task, there should be an empathy map. There should be a persona profile. There should be a problem statement. and there should be some way of ideation that you've done. So technically 3 steps: empathy, define, and ideate, that you will do in a team. How do you want to formulate a team? That's entirely up to you. How do you want to fix a problem, find a solution, is entirely up to you. And then you come back to me and then you show me that how you've kind of done that. Is that exactly how we're gonna do? Thank you so
Thank
much, everyone. Thank you. Please take care. See you at 4.